Yo, what's going on, guys? Today we got a level cap increase to level 53, and a lot of you were already asking my thoughts. Where should I spend these other 3 skill points? So I'm going to tell you guys exactly where today. Particularly, we are going over the meta builds, my Banjo God King build, even if you're using Moxie's Chain Zane build, they're pretty similar, and it is the meta right now for Zane. Grab a Redistributor, put on Good Misfortune, and you're good to go. Now, I do want to say these 3 skill points were actually very important. We can actually now reach the highest damage possible pretty much out of all of his skill trees, and yeah. Now, I do want to say that all of your level 50 gear is still going to be fine. I actually leveled up to 53 and I immediately went to the takedown. I already beat it a couple times, so I'm going to be leaving some footage up in the background of me rolling through true takedown mode. So especially if you guys are playing the scaled takedown, your gear is going to be perfectly fine. I know I'm good at the takedown, like, to the people who watch my channel a lot, if you're not new here. And the point I'm trying to make is the damage will speak for itself in true takedown mode. Whether or not you're as good at the game or whatever, the damage is still there on level 50 gear. You guys don't have to worry about anything. You can still slowly level up and replace your gear as you play the game however you want. So I'm leaving some footage up in the background. All of my gear is level 50. I believe I even show it at the very end. So I'm going to leave all of that in there. And yeah, let's get into the video. So in this video, I'm actually going to be going over 2 possible skill trees, depending on what you want to use and what you want to play. There are pros and cons to each, so let's get into it. Now, the first skill tree is actually what I'm using in the background footage. This is what I think is going to be the most consistent for mobbing and running the takedown in general. This build doesn't actually reach the highest damage technically possible, but we do have the best damage per second skills. So I know that sounds kind of weird, but I'm talking about skills like Cool Hand, Violent Violence, even if you want to dip into Praemunitus a little bit, which is magazine size. Stuff like Reload Speed and Fire Rate and Magazine Size are damage per second skills. Now, these skills allow you to push out more damage over time in like mobbing situations is a really good example of this. Even the Wotan fight, because it's a longer fight. Now, where you would want the max damage possible is bossing, like Traunt or Grave Ward, stuff like that. This build is still going to be able to do all that fine, so that's why I'm showing you guys these skill trees right now, and that's why I'm playing it in the background. Now, what makes this build and these skill trees so great is that we can get all of these skills while still being able to put 2 points into Borrowed Time. Borrowed Time is an amazing skill that we weren't always using before, and I think 2 points is just enough. If you feel like you want a bit more into Borrowed Time, then you could sneak a 3rd point into here from Violent Violence or Cool Hand, whatever you want. Now, the reason why this skill is so good is because this will get you from the Kraken to the Valkyrie fight with your action skills never going down. It'll basically bridge you between areas very well. Even downtime and like the Slaughter Shaft, for example, is a pretty good example, like in between waves of enemies. Borrowed Time is just like a decent skill to never let your barrier go down, and your barrier is very important with the Redistributor, as we all know now. I made a video about it. A couple people made a video about it in the past, actually, and yeah. Now, one last thing I want to mention is playing Dirty. A lot of people want to know the exact amount of points in playing Dirty you actually need. Now, if you're using a pretty simple loadout, let's say you're using the Redistributor, a Cutsman, and a Dictator, then you don't need more than 5 points total, including your class mod, into playing Dirty. The Redistributor, the chains from it, do a very good job at keeping up playing Dirty, and you only need 5 points total from what I've noticed. It's active over 90% of the time with the Redistributor. Now, there are some instances where you will want more than 5 points. One great example I can think of is Torg Stickies. With Torg Stickies, every single extra projectile means an extra gyrojet. So when you're shooting a hedgehog or you're shooting the craps, you want as many playing dirty activations as possible. And these weapons don't chain, so they don't activate the class mod the sheer number of times that the Redistributor does, for example. So yeah, if you're playing like Torg Stickies, then you'd probably definitely want 7 points total, which will get you to 100%. Every single kill skill will give you playing dirty activations. But with the Redistributor, I noticed that like I said, playing Dirty's active most of the time with only 5 points. Now next, I want to go over a pretty interesting skill tree in my opinion. We actually managed to get all of the good, like basically all of the best damage out of Zane's trees that we can actually get. And this is why the 3 levels was actually pretty cool for Zane. Now notably, these trees do not have any points in Violent Violence. We only have 2 points into Cool Hands. What's cool though, and I do gotta say, is we do have the full 3 points into Praemunitus. So we're not missing out on all of our DPS skills. Violent Violence is actually very strong and a lot better than a lot of people realize. So especially with the Redistributor or Dictator, it's a pretty strong skill we're missing out on. However, I do think this is a very good and strong alternative. This tree will be really good for bossing with RPGs like the Scourge, like Hedgehogs, like Torg Stickies in general, Hives, Nukums, a bunch of very strong weapons that don't necessarily take advantage of Violent Violence. Like, you know, the Scourge is not upset that we don't get to have Violent Violence in our skill tree. You know what I mean? So yeah, the fact that we can reach Confident Competence, Good Misfortune, and Supersonic Man, these are all like the most important skills between each of Zane's trees. Now, I don't want to say Supersonic Man is the most important in the red tree, but it is the last skill in the red tree that gives you a notable damage increase that isn't hard to activate, like Trick of the Light, for example. Supersonic Man is very strong. It's going to add, I believe, 28% damage with Violent Momentum and the new class mod on. And this is actually a big deal in my opinion. I'm definitely going to be messing around with this kind of skill tree when I am bossing or when I'm running the Takedown in the future. And yeah, so that's why I wanted to share this skill tree as well. Now, I do have to say, I really do think the first skill tree will be the most comfortable for most of you because, like with most of your points into Cool Hand, you're always going to be firing all the time. You're going to reload fast. You have a lot of extra fire rate, which gets you a lot more damage per second, like I mentioned. But yeah, this skill tree is probably definitely the strongest when you're using a Scourge and you are slide speeding and scorching, for example. And yeah, so that is pretty much it for the video, guys. I just wanted to give you guys my updates on Zane and what the extra 3 skill points do for him. There are actually some pretty cool things we can reach now that I'm excited to try. And like I said, I'm actually going to let this footage play out because I want you guys to really know that your level 50 god rolls that you farmed for, that you traded for, they're definitely still good. So in the background is just going to be me finishing up the Takedown, and I'm on true Takedown scaling, and I'm pretty sure I show my gear after, or at least most of it, but it's all level 50. I didn't farm for anything at all yet. I literally got to level 53 with the Scrap Trap farm, and then I hopped into true Takedown mode, and now I'm uploading this video. So yeah, I'm going to go back into the game and mess around with the level cap a bit more and some of the new items. I'm super excited for the Valentine's event. But that's going to be it for the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this and my thoughts. A lot of you immediately asked me where to spend the next 3 skill points, so here it is. And I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out.
Teach you how to fight!
Getting hot over here!
Death wish! This can't be how this all is going.
that giant bastard up!
I call this a successful operation.
Radiological alarm.
Additional test subjects required.
Hey, covering fire over here!
You're welcome. Radiation.
You couldn't hit a cow's arse with a banjo. Not but a bushel of manky kits. Come on, come on!
This is my hell! Providing reinforcements.
Got a bit messy, but nobody's paying me for a clean takedown.
Brilliant work, Vault Hunter! That ass kicking will make Maliwan think twice before they come at us again.
I'm on fire! But not literally.